Welcome to Friday Night Rights, everyone. Do, 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 do. You can't ask for the program. You have to ask for the channel. Hi.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm here. You're welcome.
Dude, how do I do this part? Ah, here we go.
There she is. Hi, Kate.
Hello.
Hi,
How are you
How
doing
you
today?
doing?
I'm good.
Excellent.
We have
Did
family visiting,
everyone's?
so I'm in my bedroom.
Ah,
I
This is
was
like my
just gonna
see,
makeshift.
ask
you're
if
dressed for the occasion. We're just in whatever tonight.
I mean, I'm already in my pajamas, but
Oh, okay.
same.
we
You
got back from
survived.
dinner. I do have
Did
some wine. We just got back from dinner, and I was like, I don't really have the energy to wash my face yet, so it's like full face pajamas.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay? That's all right.
that's optional here.
Mm-hmm.
I a lot of times I feel like I scratch my nose and I have to rub it. Like I don't want people to think I'm digging for gold or anything. It's just
I do the hair touch thing. Like when I go back and like edit videos, I'm like, why do I touch my hair so much when I'm talking?
sometimes
I
I
I
notice you run up to the camera and you do this.
Just
Hey Dietrich, how you doing?
hi, Dietrich.
So oh, I didn't share the live with everybody. Let's see who's online. Yes, Samantha Moran is on vacation with her family this week, so she will not be joining us.
yeah, she's down in Florida.
Oh, nice.
Yes, I wish I were down in Florida. I'm actually going in March to visit my family. Um,
Nice.
yep, I just made the plane reservations. Um, actually, I turned in some JetBlue points, so my flight down and flying out of one of the local airports here on Long Island, they fly direct now to West Palm.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Nice.
so it's all good.
I don't like going anywhere, so
I know. Yes, traveling
but
is a struggle.
it is. So I
I
try to do it as little as possible.
I hate how expensive it is.
It is. Yes.
Like it's just obnoxiously expensive to fly anywhere.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm hoping my back gets better. I hurt my back last month. It's like every day it's like I feel this much better, and then I feel this much better, and I feel this much worse, and I feel this much better, and this much better. And you know how it goes.
Yep,
Yep.
I 100% understand that.
Yeah. So hopefully by March I'll be able to walk through theme parks and, and all that good stuff. But
I
anywho,
don't know. Go on one of the rides that takes you through the loop de loop. It might stretch you out.
yeah,
See,
right.
maybe that'll fix you.
Yes. You know, it's funny. I go to my chiropractor now on Saturday mornings, and they have me set up on the teeter inversion machine. Like it goes like 128 degrees that way, and it's supposed to
Hmm.
decompress your spine. It's good for herniated discs, which is what I have. Um, so, and like everybody I talk to says, don't do surgery.
Yeah, back surgery is.
Yeah. Once you do back surgery, um, it's like there's no going back.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, so like it's like one of those things that like once you do it, it's like you're like in a constant state of like like back and forth between surgeons. It's just one of those things.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's not a road I'm going to go down. So welcome everybody to Friday Night Rights. I'll do my run through really quick because I don't feel like talking about me very much. So yes, I am Brian Scala. I do sports spice and second chances. This is being made my rock star basketball player memoir, uh, rise and fall, redemption story. How they both, how they both lived the life and fell from grace, and then they found out what was really important. This is Eddie the Legend, a four-time award finalist and one-time award winner. It's the 2025 Author Shout recommended read. Baseball, Broken Dreams, Found Family. Love to fix it all. A little bit of spice. This one has a lot of spice. This is core memories, friends with benefits, trauma, love, all that fun stuff, and a crazy little third wheel. And most of you have seen this one, my holiday spicy novella, Silver Lights. Two ex-lovers meet at the store on Christmas Eve, just like in the song. Only this time we go a little bit spicier. We take a little bit of a left turn, and good things happen. And that is me.
Oh, my turn.
Yes, it is.
I'm Evie Black. Awesome books, awkward marketing. I got 3 books. Unbalanced is if Hugh Jackman's Van Helsing and Supernatural had an angsty slow burn baby. Also available in audiobook read by Matt Christensen and Allie Dane, though she reads as Andrea May because it's a spicy book. Leona, she's a badass with thick thighs who ends lives, and Xandros is the simp that calls her abuse foreplay. Abyssal, Donovan's a dick. It's in the blurb. Which is Shadow Daddy abusive relationship. And that's all I got.
Evie, your pitches are perfect.
Thank you. I worked on them for a long time. I had a lot of help between Brian and Samantha Moran. I could never come up with one for this. Like, I just kept, like, nothing felt right. And so I was like, you know what? Donovan's a dick.
Listen, I'm hooked. I'm in. What else do I need to know?
Right?
There you go.
That's really all you need to. But we are 2/3 of Friday Night Rights, and this week we have the amazing Cate Page here with us. So if you want to take it away, Cate.
Sure. I am Cate Page. I'm an indie author. I was prepared today. I'm very proud of myself. So we have Poorly Wired Circuit, superhero romance with lots of spice, and then my most recent book, The Funny Girl, movie star and comedian, angsty spice.
Nice. I love the
Yes.
angst.
I I love it so much.
Yes. I haven't gotten through it just yet. I know I started it and then life did lifing things.
Yeah.
Listen, I was not prepared for like how much life would interfere with a December release date. Like I was like December 3rd, perfect, right
Yeah.
before Christmas. And then I was like, "Oh, yes, marketing still has to happen. It doesn't just
Yeah.
stop." Like I
Right.
was I did not account for that at all. I don't know if I'll do a December release again for a while.
That's fair. Yeah. It's I chose to release a book 3 days before Sinful Signings, but actually that was probably to my advantage because that was the first place where people could buy physical copies, and they were like, "Ooh, I want core memories. I want core memories."
There you go.
Yeah.
And we're actually going to be schmiving, rehoming, adopting, whatever you want to call it, a physical copy of The
Physical
Funny
copy.
Girl.
Yes, a physical copy. My books aren't Kindle Unlimited, so I actually can't do giveaways with my ebooks, which honestly just allows me the opportunity to just give more of these away. So,
Nice.
Nice.
yes.
So if how we usually do our schmivs is we will remind everyone throughout the interview to drop a emoji. Tonight we're going to be doing a laughing emoji since we are going to be schmiving the funny girl. So whenever we remind y'all, go ahead and laugh at us for a minute. Have a good laugh. We try to, right? We like rewarding everyone for sticking around and hearing what you have to say. So the every time we announce it, you can get extra entries.
Excellent.
Yay,
Yes.
I love it. I love it.
All right. So Kate, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, I like to think of myself as a fairly boring human being.
I do the
Um,
same.
right? Like we're never as interesting to ourselves as we are to other people. Um, I live in North Carolina, in the Triangle area. I
I don't know
grew
what that means.
so like there's a middle part of North Carolina, where it's basically like Raleigh, Durham, and it's like called the Research Triangle because it makes a little triangle, the shape of our cities. And it's where like basically like Duke and UNC Chapel Hill, um, and like all of our research institutes are. So we call it the Research Triangle because it's shaped like so like we call it the triangle area.
I should
So
have
I
worn
live
my
like
UNC
in
shirt.
you should have. But I'm a Duke girl, I must confess.
Oh, good night,
Must
everyone.
confess.
No, no, no.
I forget some people take that like the rivalry seriously.
It
Like
is
people get into fights.
it is a very serious. You're like assigned one like the minute you like move to the state. Like I'm a transplant. I actually grew up in Jersey. But like when you move to the state, like you're basically like asked to pick a side. And my dad picked Duke when we first moved here, so I just by extension I was like, go Duke. It just kind of
I'm
happened.
I'm I'm one of those go sports teams.
I
My
hope
husband
everyone has fun.
My husband is into like all of the sports. So like as we have like been together, I have slowly like chosen sides on all the things. Whereas I used to be like basketball is cool. Like now I have like allegiances and things. I'm like, how did this happen? Where am I?
Yeah.
But so I live in North Carolina. So I am married. And we have a daughter. She is 6. I was afraid I was going to be late. I'm not gonna lie, because I was putting her to bed and she was really like restless, like
Ah,
lingering Christmas joy was like she was
She
tossing
also
and
knew you
turning.
had
yeah.
to come
Yeah.
on to TikTok
Occasionally,
and hang out with us. She was like, "You're busy." Oh no, mom.
You
yeah.
you have plans
Occasionally,
without me?
occasionally, one of Sam's children will barge in and just, try to plop in her lap
Take
while we're
over.
doing the show.
Like sometimes like I'll be on lives and like my arms will be like this because like I'm very careful about keeping her off camera. So like you can like I'm like actively like trying to keep her from like because she wants to be on camera so bad.
Mm.
Like she thinks it's this beautiful magical thing where I'm just like one day you'll thank me for not making you an influencer kit, okay? One day. Clearly that day is not today, but it's like I'm like sometimes I'll be doing lives and people will like probably be like, why is Kate holding her arm like that? I'm like keeping a child off screen.
Well, but like children. I know this is gonna sound bad, but children, especially young children, are very vain, right? They like seeing themselves. They love taking pictures of themselves. It's part of the growing process,
Mhm.
them learning to care about others. But
Yes.
younger kids, they want the spotlight. It's all about them.
Oh yeah, she's obsessed with like take pictures of me. Like we'll be in Target and she'll get like up on the standees with the mannequins. So she'll be like, take my picture. I'm like, what's happening? Um,
I find that the children are little versions of ourselves.
this is
We're,
fair. Yeah. Yeah. Um, that's actually accurate because like the joke between me and my joke between me and my husband is he says that I'm like Tinkerbell, like I need applause to live. Like, yeah, a little bit,
so,
a
so,
little bit.
so tell me, as a child, when you were a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh man, I wanted to be like full blown, like I wanted to be like a movie star. Like I wanted to like stage and screen. Like that's like definitely like growing up, like my little fantasies laying in bed. Um, so was not writing. It was like writing came later, but like I definitely like was like, oh, I want to be a star.
Yeah. Yeah, my cousin and my mom's cousin and my cousin, they live in like Westchester, Rockland County, New York, and
Hmm.
they are huge, into film and local theater and everything. Like,
Yeah,
yeah. So
So
I've
did you do like school plays and stuff like that?
I did. And I don't know if it's because like and like we moved to North Carolina when I was in high school, but I think maybe like when you grow up in Jersey, like and you're that close to New York, something takes over in your brain.
Mhm.
Like it's just something about the proximity to being like that close to Broadway. But in high school, I did do theater. I did musical theater. Um, so we did, there's pictures of me like in Les Mis, and we did Beauty and the Beast one year. So yeah, I did the whole thing. And I did a little bit of community theater in college, but it didn't follow me past that. So
Not to brag, but in third grade I was the best Oompa Loompa number three there's ever been.
I can feel
I
it. I can feel it.
Someone wants to know what your role was in Les Mis.
I was Eponine, the most dramatic of roles because she gets to be unalived in the rain as she declares her love. So no one's surprised I had the most dramatic role on the whole show.
For some reason, that is the one show I remember. I saw it on Broadway, and I don't remember a damn thing about it. I don't know why.
It's one of those things that Les Mis, like, it's so long. I remember our theater teacher gave us the book as like our present, and we all pulled this like huge. If you've ever seen Les Mis, the book, it's so big. And I remember us all pulling it out and being like, what? Do we have to read this? Is this like an assignment? And she's like, you don't have to read it. And we were all like, God, because it's so big. Um, see, yeah, Kate gets it, the drama of Eponine. It's a very dramatic character. Unrequited love, just like
Yeah.
you don't make it to the end of the musical. It's a juicy role.
So when did you know it when you wanted to be an author? When did that transition from actress to author?
I would say it was probably like I would say like late middle school or early high school. I started dabbling in fanfic. Um,
Perfect.
right? It's like the gateway. It is our first steps. I was big into comic books, which surprises no one because I wrote a superhero love story. I was big into comic books. I was really, really big into like Batman, Teen Titans. Teen Titans is still one of my favorite comics to read. It was one of my favorite cartoons. I think that original cartoon on Cartoon Network is so good.
Yeah.
So I was
Though
writing a
I do like the Teen Titans Go. I know a lot of people were really mad about that, but it is so funny.
it's so unhinged, and like as somebody
Yes.
who embraces the cringe and the unhingedness of cartoons, I'm here for Teen Titans Go as well. I'll watch it and just laugh and laugh. So I was writing a lot of fanfic. Um, and then it just kind of progressed from there, where you just kind of start writing. I took a break off from writing when I had my daughter. Um, you tend
That's
to lose,
fair.
sometimes you tend to lose yourself in motherhood. So I didn't write again for a long time. And then I think like a lot of us during the first round of quarantine, um, kind of stepped back into the world of fanfic. Honestly, I started reading Star Wars fanfic, and I started writing a little bit. Mandalorian was high at the time, so um, then things just kind of snowballed from there. Where like then before I knew it, I had a whole book, and then I had two books. So
You know, and
Yeah.
it's so funny because I wrote my first book during COVID, but like the thing was, everyone's like, oh, COVID hit, we were quarantined. I was I had a knee surgery right before COVID hit. And so I had nothing to do except physical therapy, and that's why
Hmm.
I wrote. And then the quarantines got really bad, but I was still having to go into work because I worked at, I was in the army at the time, and they were like, nah, wear a
Yeah.
mask, you're coming in, bitch. And
Well,
I'm just like,
so both my husband and I, we work in healthcare. Um, and I
okay.
wasn't on the floor anymore. I was not a floor nurse anymore, but our hospital was small, and so I was technically I was what's called redeployed. So they took me off of my office job and they redeployed me back. And it was either be unemployed or go back to the floor. So I was sent back to the floor to a job I hadn't done in about 4 years since I had my daughter. Um, and then they also put me on nights, and so a I was at that point in my 30s going back to night shift when I hadn't done that since I was a 21-year-old woman. So I got the first round of COVID was really rough for our family. Like I was very, very like depressed. I remember being depressed. I kind of compared it to being underwater. Like
Yeah,
I don't
I could
remember a
see
lot of
that.
it. So I think that's one of the reasons I found writing again because I was just there. There was no outlet other than the two other people in my home, and one of them was a child. So um, I think that's one of the reasons that my and I don't think a lot of people that's why we rediscovered or found this new passion of writing. So.
Yeah, yeah, I kind of got back into it after a couple of years after COVID. I just had this strange inspiration. Like I had written my first book years before and it didn't take off, and I didn't really know about social media, and I just kind of didn't write for a while, and all of a sudden I just came up with this idea and started writing again, and that's really, I'm kind of in between ideas at the moment, like or uh, actually I do have to finish my one book for next year. It's funny how it just kind of happened.
I do think that one thing that COVID and quarantine reminded a lot of us is that there's more to life than like work, if that
Mm.
makes sense. Like there's
Yeah.
more like we want, and it's okay to want more, and it's okay to just be excited about creating things. And like I always like a lot of authors, we all say like it's just it's like the most expensive hobby in the world. Like it's like none of us
Yeah.
like like I don't entertain the idea of like becoming like a multi-million dollar like
Yeah.
bestseller like tomorrow. I think it's just like we all kind of rediscovered that joy of just creating for creating's sake.
Yeah. And
Um,
like
But also
Kate says
having
down
the
there.
time to as well.
yes. The
Yes.
art, yes, Kate says that art will save our sanity. Exactly. Yeah. Um,
That's my biggest struggle right now is having the time. And when once I get home, I'm mentally exhausted, and I just
mhm.
it's but it's been a struggle for me the past couple months.
Yeah, it's so funny because I was before I logged on, I'm such a nerd. My husband got me a planner for Christmas because that's how type A I am. He's like, I got you a new planner. I was like,
Hey, don't feel bad. I have like four that I don't
listen, like,
use.
it's like, but like, so I was writing things out, and I work two jobs, um, and so I was writing things out, and I was like, oh man, like I'm like sitting there thinking, like I'm gonna have to write like either like wake up wicked early or like late at night, like because I was sitting here writing out my
Mm.
schedule for January, and I'm like, wow, January's gonna be weird, and it's about finding the time at this
Yeah.
point. So
So, I mean, between writing and you have your day job, and
mhm.
you have your interests in the entertainment field,
Yes.
music, movies, etc. Besides all that, do you have any other hobbies? Like,
Dietrich's in the chat right now. He'll probably make a grumbling noise, but I am an exercise enthusiast.
ah,
I like moving my body. I like it helps clear my head. I'm one of those people that like if I'm physical, go for a run or I have a Peloton. It helps turn my brain off just enough that like I'll find inspiration. I actually went for a run the other day and it was freezing, but when I came back, I had to run straight upstairs. My husband laughed. He said, "You ran straight upstairs because I knew you had something to write down."
yeah,
And I did. I had something to write down. Yes, willingly, Dietrich. I do. I exercise willingly. I am an exercise enthusiast. I don't know. It's something about moving my body. I'm a big
yeah.
fan of it. So I try to do at least a little bit a day, even if it's just a walk.
That is something that no one should take for granted, and I'm speaking from experience here because I like I said, I threw my back out shortly before booked in Chaos and thought I was okay. And then I went back literally like to the hotel that night, and my body kind of gave out again. And now it's been a slow progression. Like even sometimes even you know like standing and walking. It's I have sciatica symptoms. Like I got the herniated disc. I'm trying
Yeah,
to get back to it, and I know I'm old, but it's it's like you know, it makes me remember all those days where I could have gone out and walked or exercised, and I chose to sit on my ass and eat chips on the couch.
I
It's
mean, I love that too. Don't get me wrong. Like Dietrich has been on a live with me where I've housed like a half a bag of hot Cheetos in one sitting.
yeah.
See, I just
Um,
I can't exercise anymore, but when I was in the army, we would do it all the time, and the fact that you do it willingly, like, good for you, because I'd be out on a run. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning, and the only thing I could think of was fuck this.
and again, it's just I think it's I I have a very strange relationship with my body. I grew up in the late 90s, early 2000s with the diet culture and the low rise jeans and my mother like buying me like 100-calorie snacks. Um and those kinds of weird things. I have a very weird relationship with my body and with food and it's taken me a long time to get to a place where like exercise is not about a number on a scale or like how an outfit fits. It's really just more about like moving in my body. But like I'm feeling the age thing too. We went ice skating yesterday, me and my daughter,
Wow.
and I had to hold her up a lot because she's 6 and has no core. And by the end of it, I was like my back, like I
Yeah.
was wrecked. And we went to dinner, me and my husband and my daughter, and I was like hunched over at the table, and I was like, I will
Yeah.
never walk regular again.
Yeah. I I remember the last time I went roller skating, and I'm like, I can't do that ever again.
No, she's like
I don't
addicted now
remember.
too. She's like, "Can we go ice skating every day?" I was like, "Well, the ice rink's not going to be here for long." And then my husband, the genius that he is, he's like, "Well, we can go roller skating." And I was like,
Yeah.
"I will end you."
Because there's a place on Long Island called Hot Skates, and I used to go there all the time when I was growing up.
It
And
must be so nice to live somewhere where like people like do things like that. Like you're talking about I live in the triangle. I live in the middle of nowhere. And if I want to go ice skating, I would literally have to go find a parking lot and flood it in hopes that it gets cold enough to freeze.
It's so funny you say that, Evie, because like I grew up. We moved to North Carolina when I was in high school, but North Carolina has changed so much in the past 20 years. Because when I moved to North Carolina, my family, our neighborhood was this teeny tiny little neighborhood, and it was across the street from a cow farm. Like we were like, and it took 30 minutes to get anywhere, like to the grocery store, to anywhere took like 30 to 45 minutes in the car. Um, and I would remember like getting off the bus and there would be like the cows had gone out again. Like, and now like North Carolina has become almost like this weird hub of like banks and research. It's so strange to see how much the state has changed.
mm,
Um,
yeah,
because it didn't used to be this way that there was like all these things to do and like it was almost like a metropolis. It didn't used to be that way, but
yeah, over
now
the
it's
last yeah, I'd say like the last 20 years, between real estate prices being better, the taxes being lower, I know a lot of corporations are moving down south.
yeah, I mean the taxes are better. Like so you said real estate. I remember my parents like we moved here and the houses were so much cheaper. I remember that was a thing that they talked about, like those things you pick up as a teenager, like that you're not really like hearing, but you're remembering. So I
Mhm.
remember them saying that well, houses are cheaper, taxes are better. Um, and so yeah, it's just kind of blown up. And I remember I went to school for my undergrad at UNC Charlotte, and that was like the business school because it's right next to the city of Charlotte, which just has all the banks and stuff. And now we live in the Durham area, which is like the hospital and the science and the research, and Google's moving in, and Apple's opening a site because like it's where the
Yeah,
research is happening. So it's so strange that the South is kind of like exploding like this, and I don't know what it means for the future, but maybe good things.
yeah, it's
I just wish they would come by me. Like no one wants to be at Lawton, Oklahoma. It's
But they
horrible.
need to go to Oklahoma.
All right, so A lot of authors at some point in their career, participate in charity anthologies, or they see, they join a group that are doing like a silent auction or something to support a cause. Do you have any cause or project or anything that is near and dear to you?
Nothing I'm actively working on. I am a big proponent of little libraries.
Oh,
Also, Dolly Parton's library. We when we first had our daughter, we didn't have a ton of money. We were very much a paycheck to paycheck family. Those free books that Dolly Parton sent us in the mail, it sounds so silly, but like getting a book in the mail once a month for your kid when you maybe don't always be able to afford things like that, like um, it makes such a difference.
It
Um,
really does. The little
yeah,
things go such a long way.
and like the joy of like your kid like opening the mailbox and it's addressed to them and it's a book and they to see them get excited about a book when it's something that like we love so much, like so to see that happen naturally, like those types of things really get me so excited. So like Libby Weber, she's here on Book Talk. She did a drive. She's in Okinawa, Japan. I don't know if you guys um
yes, I remember that one. Yeah.
she did a drive and had donations sent to her for her kids. She's a substitute teacher at a school on an army base in Japan. So she had a bunch of donations sent in for her kids because they don't have a lot of books because it's hard to get American books in Japan. But these are all army kids who are on base, and so they needed books. So anything like that, like I'm always gonna like if you tell me that you want books for a kid, I'm gonna throw my whole heart behind it because like just like I remember like that's how I got my love of reading was when I was little and it waxed and waned as I grew, but it's still here with me today. The fact that I keep books next to my bed and so if you tell me you want to get books in kids' hands, I'm gonna give everything I can. So
It's awesome.
yeah.
I almost wish my books were made for kids.
My daughter asked me the other day because I was journaling because I wasn't working on a book, but I was journaling, and she's like, "Mommy, are you working on another book?" And I was like, "Not right now." She's like, "You should write a book for kids."
Oh,
And I was like, "That's so." So like things like that. Like I maybe one day I don't know. I need a different pen name.
so we're a couple more questions about you, and then we'll get into your books. A few of your favorite things, like favorite food, favorite season, favorite
Okay.
candy.
Oh, fun. Um, I always joke that I have two favorite foods. Like one would be like my like high palate, like end of like last day's meal would be like garlic risotto.
Ooh,
I love risotto. It's my favorite thing to make. I make it a lot for my husband, but I love risotto. I don't even need anything but like the rice and the garlic. Um, but honestly, like if you ask me my favorite food, it would be tacos. Like I love Mexican food, so
nice.
it's just, I just love it. I could eat them
Who
every
doesn't
day and
love
not get sick of them. I
tacos?
swear to God, I love tacos.
We
If you
had
don't
we
love
had shrimp
tacos,
tacos last night.
nice.
So good. You could put anything in a taco. So like last night, I we had Mexican. I had pork belly. So good. Oh,
Hmm.
Nice.
so good. So you could put anything in a taco, and it's so delicious. I love tacos. So, my favorite season is winter, which is strange because I do tend to get a little sad during winter, but it's the angst. I love it. Um, I don't know, something about it's cold. Even down here, it gets cold. So it's cold today. It's cold. Um, I find it helps me kind of clear my head and think a little better. I find inspiration a lot in sadness. So I like winter. I really love it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wish we could go from January 1st to the beginning of spring training. That's just me, you know.
I don't know. It was a. I'm ready. I'm ready for spring training. I'm ready for baseball season because it was a rough. It was a rough end of the season for Yankees fans. That was rough to watch.
Ah,
I'm just counting down the days to Halloween. So,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. I happen to root for the team in Flushing.
You know, that's okay. I was honestly hoping for a Subway series. I was really
Me too.
like
Yeah, I
I was
thought we were
sitting
gonna
here
have it. Yeah.
My husband was like, "That's so boring." I was like, "It's boring for everybody but people who are New York fans, and
Yeah.
we'll have a great time." I don't know what's wrong with
No
that.
sports team.
Yes.
My
Yeah.
husband is, everyone always gets a kick out of this. I am a Yankees fan. My husband's a Sox fan.
Oh,
So baseball season is always very interesting in our house.
yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. Um, we're kind of like, it's always like a battle to see like how our daughter's allegiance will one day fall.
She'll become an Orioles fan. Just be like, screw you both.
Just right, like just like she's like she'll be like, "Oh, I'm just we're down here in the South. I'll be a Braves fan." Like she might just do that.
You
Just,
guys,
just
y'all would really, really enjoy baseball games over in Korea then.
Oh yeah.
It is so, so hyped up. I got to, while I was there, I got to actually go to a baseball game. All the players on both teams have their own songs for when they come up to bat, but it's not like they're, playing some rock song or whatever. Like the
yeah.
fans are the ones singing it.
I've
Um,
watched clips of Korean baseball games. They look
Yeah.
like so much fun.
The
mhm,
thunder
each
sticks.
Yeah,
Yes.
each player has their own song and dance, and it's a whole experience.
Yes.
I always enjoyed going to baseball games. I would always go see the Cubs.
hmm
But a Korean baseball game is
I would love it.
Yes.
I grew up my dad taking us across the bridge into the city to see the Yankees play. Um, so I have a lot of fond memories. I haven't been to a live baseball game other than like the Durham Bulls
Yep.
here, but they're a great watch.
Oh yeah.
They're a lot of, honestly, like the minor leagues are so much fun. Um,
I'd agree with that.
That
and
is on my
we
bucket list, by the way.
you get to see some cool players because like we've I got to see a couple of years ago while he was working at far back from an injury. I got to see Aaron Judge play
Ah,
because he was working back from an injury, so his team came up to play the Bulls, and that was really cool. So like, don't count out minor league baseball games; they're a lot of fun.
oh
They
yeah.
are.
Oh yeah.
So,
So
since we're talking about some of your favorite things, what was your most recent five-star read?
this will sound like a cop out because I give a lot of 5 stars because like if I finish a book, it's usually because I love it. I'm very careful about what books I pick
Mhm.
first and foremost. Like I usually don't pick something to read like on a whim. Um, but this month I've been really following like the mood reads. I've read a lot of graphic novels this month
Nice.
because
I
it's
love
December and I've been tired and that's what I wanted. So like I finished Lore Olympus. Speaking of Teen Titans, the newest, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of him, but Gabriel Piccolo, he's an artist who does like, he's doing like a reimagined version of the Teen Titans, but they're like real kids who develop superpowers, more less like, um, so like they're wearing street clothes and all that. So I just finished his most recent one. It's been a lot of graphic novels, but it's been a lot of fun. I read a Supergirl graphic novel. I think the one that James Gunn is making his movie based off of, Supergirl and the Girl of Tomorrow or something. I think it's called. I can't remember. I haven't put it in my Goodreads yet, but it was really good. But last book I read that was 5 stars, I actually still have it. Is it's so cute. This is one here. It's called A Werewolf's Guide to Seducing a Vampire. And
Nice.
That sounds.
maybe people don't think it's a 5 star read. It was really silly and fun. I think I picked it up for Halloween, and it took me a month to read because I'm a slow reader, just by nature of not having any time. But it was so much fun.
Nice.
The banter was great. It was just a silly, good, like werewolf vampire romance.
Yeah. No,
I like
if you
when
wrote
books don't take themselves too seriously.
yeah.
That it's exactly. It did not take itself too seriously. Definitely, it was like we know what this is. It is, and I really loved that.
You're
And
here
so
for the monster smut. We got you.
like they took good care of him. It was great. It was really really cute. Like the werewolf is like this nerdy guy who wears like sweater vests and he knits, and I was like, yes,
I
wait a
love
s-
that.
yeah. It was so much fun. So like I give a lot of 5 stars, but like I said, if I finish something and I had a good time, I'm gonna give you 5 stars. Like I don't have any reason not to. Like
Yeah,
That's
I
fair.
pretty much do the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm not overly critical. Like it's either I really liked the book or I didn't.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's not really a lot of in between for me. Like I had a good time or I didn't have a good time. So, and if
Yeah.
I didn't have a good time, I usually don't leave a rating.
Right.
I just don't.
Yeah, if I don't like a book, if I feel that I have a decent relationship with the author, I will private message them, let them
Mhm.
know, hey, I read it, didn't like it, this is why, and just leave it at that.
Yeah.
I won't leave a review of a book I don't like.
Yeah, I just tend to, it just doesn't feel like my place, especially as an author. I didn't do it when I was just a reader, but I definitely now as an author, I don't really feel like it's my place.
Well,
So I just,
usually if I don't like a book, there's something I don't want to say wrong with it. Like if I read it and I'm like, okay, this book wasn't for me, I'm not gonna go into the author's DMs of being like, you're a piece of shit. But if it's like, hey, there were a few mistakes I found,
mhm.
I'll let them know. I respectfully, of course, but that's usually only with authors that like I said, I have some kind of relationship with. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna message some random person being like, "Hey," you know.
Yeah, yeah, professional courtesy to not bash it. I agree.
Yeah. Totally.
Yes, definitely agree. Like I said, like I said, like I just, and I do like some people when I say that to people, they're like, "Oh, so you don't read critically?" I'm like, "No, I read critically. It's just that I read clear when I read critically. That's for me. Like, and for my friends, like I'll discuss it definitely with my friends. I have a great group of writer friends. We'll discuss those things amongst ourselves, but I don't have to go on the internet
Yep.
and do that to people. We don't have to share every thought on the internet. Maybe that's because I'm a millennial and I grew up
Yeah.
on the internet. But
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus,
Absolutely.
go ahead, Brian. I'm sorry.
No, no. I was just going to repeat what Tarta said. Reading is subjective. Yes.
mhm, very.
Some people like it. Some people don't. It's just whatever you like.
Yeah, it's it's the thing about it's the thing I love about art is that it's so subjective and we all take something away from it that's very on a personal level. Like not everyone's going to take the same thing. It's one of those things I love about art. And like even on repeat viewings, I always this time of year I always reread and rewatch Little Women because it's my favorite book and it's my favorite movie. And every year I take something different away from the viewing and the reading. So subjective can like change over the course of like even a person's lifetime. So
Well, yeah, because you've grown as a person.
Yeah. And, if you wish to be the judge of Kate Page's The Funny Girl, you can have your physical copy and just drop a laughing emoji down in the comments. Or if you want, you can just say "ha ha" or "that's funny" or something along those lines. Now,
we love a theme.
And you'll be entered into the schmiv.
yes, there we go, Dietrich, putting us on the board. So, and now this is your second book, right?
This is my second book, correct? Yes.
Yes. And they're both rom-coms.
Yes, I would say it's the funny thing is that this one I would say is more rom-commy than the one with the word funny in the title. That's my big pitch. Is like I wrote a book called The Funny Girl and it's not always very funny. It's more of a funny. I like to compare it to like the Bear is the most recency bias recent example I could think of where like things are like categorized as comedy, but it's really more it's funny because it's kind of sad and life is kind of weird and sad and funny. It's like that.
Yeah, like like almost like a dark comedy.
Almost like a dark comedy, yeah, because
If you're not laughing, you're crying.
exactly, and that's my favorite kind of comedy. My favorite kind of comedy are the weird ones where you're like, should I be laughing? Is it okay that I'm laughing? No one's shocked that the healthcare employee feels that way because
Dark
That's just
humor is a coping mechanism.
it is a cornerstone of working in a hospital. If you do not have a dark sense of humor, you must leave this place immediately because you will not be able to take, like, sometimes my husband and I make the worst jokes and we forget we're around people who are not healthcare workers and the room goes quiet and we're like, that was a joke just for us, for
Ah.
nobody else in the room.
I've cracked being in the army. I've made a few jokes before, and then I got calls and text messages. Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah,
And
I remember a couple times where I asked Evie if she was okay, and she made a comment, and it was if it was, I've learned since then, if it was anyone other than Evie, I might be concerned, but
Mhm.
yeah, now I know better.
Yeah, don't ever listen to what I say. As long as I'm talking, I'm good. If I
Right.
stop talking, that's
Uh-huh.
when you
Listen,
gotta.
I'm the same way. If I'm quiet, that's how you know I just need to like I'm in a place.
Mm,
Yep.
But
yes.
if I'm cracking jokes, even if they're the the darkest jokes you've ever heard, we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
It's
Hmm.
coping. It's a coping mechanism.
Yep.
Yes.
Because if we're not laughing, we're crying.
So that's how I would describe the funny girl.
I like
Gotcha.
it.
Yes. And I have my bracelet here, by the
You
way.
have your bracelet.
Yes.
Oh, I need to make some more because they were so fun to send out. Like just like all the different ones and like people like not like because there were different ones. Some people got um Carly, some people got Nico, some people got just the funny girl. They were so much fun to make.
Yes.
So
So where did you get the inspiration for your books? I know Unbalanced came. I had a naughty dream about Van Helsing, and so that was born. So where did you get your inspiration?
listen. So I always like to describe Poorly Wired Circuit as like the fantasy, or I also like to think of it as like the daydream. So like I always like so I tell people like I start off writing with like superhero fanfic, right? Batman, Teen Titans, that kind of stuff. So literally like Poorly Wired Circuit like was born of like the daydream of like the 16-year-old girl in her bedroom, like, man, what would it be like to fall in love with a superhero? That's literally like I definitely like think I was like reaching for like some childhood like feelings there, like definitely like some adolescence of like living out my fantasy kind of moment. Um, with this
Mm.
one, I definitely that's how this one feels. Whereas the funny girl, it's funny. I almost described it started out as like SNL fanfic because the original concept was a sketch comedy show.
Okay.
But there's already a couple of traditionally published books out there that center around a comedian who writes for a sketch comedy show like SNL. So I didn't want to, like look like I didn't want to appear as if I was like, picking apart other authors or taking other concepts. So I real tooled it, but it definitely like was born of my love of comedy. And I just really wanted to try and do like a true modern retelling of Funny Girl starring Barbara Streisand. I really wanted to take that story and kind of make it modern and make it something more accessible because the original film, while it's wonderful, is definitely of its time. If you've never seen the original Funny Girl, it's a fantastic film, but it is of its time. So I really wanted to take that kind of concept of a female comedian and bring it into, a more modern scope of storytelling.
Right.
Yeah.
So, um, do you have a favorite character that you've written, and or least favorite character?
So favorite character is definitely actually is Nico
Ah,
from the Funny Girl. Which I don't know if it surprises people when I tell them my favorite character is a boy, but I I love him.
hmm.
He's a movie star. For people who haven't read it, I won't give any spoilers away, but he is a movie star who is both at the height of his career and is crashing phenomenally. Phenomenally. He is
The old,
basically like just won an Oscar and now his life is falling apart around him.
The ultimate
Um,
second chance romance.
yes, and writing him was so much fun. He is he is chaos. His inhibitions are, he does what he wants. He definitely has that privileged air about him where he thinks he can get away with certain things. Um, but there's also like a sadness to him of like just him, reconciling like, okay, I had everything and I'm about to lose everything. There's just this very realness to him, um, that I really loved. I loved being inside his head. Like being inside his head is both the most difficult writing I've ever done and the saddest writing I've ever done, but it produced something so brilliant. I think he's such a brilliant character. I can't say I love him so
Mm,
much. Just the journey he goes on in this book is just one of my most favorite things.
yes.
So
So you have written two books which are standalones.
yes.
Do you prefer standalones, or is there maybe a series in the works?
So I don't I've kind of alluded to it here and there in a couple different interviews. But the side characters in The Funny Girl are so good, um, that I could not leave them alone. I just could. Do you ever like sometimes like a side character, like you write them and you meet
Do they
them and
have
you're
main
like
character energy?
main character energy.
Mm.
Um, and so this is definitely part of a series. Still could be read on their own, but definitely connected because the side characters are just they're just if you haven't read it yet, but there's Josh, who is one of Carly's best friends. He's another writer. There's another actor named Tristan. They're great. There's so much fun, like, and there's so much like that found family aspect of them, like this like ragtag group of like writers and comedians, and like they're all funny but in very different ways. It's such a great. I had so much fun in this world, as hard as this book was to write. But I just couldn't stop. So there's actually the next one is with my editor, like as we are talking to
Nice.
one another. So
That's
Something to look
awesome.
forward to for 2025.
hopefully, yes, yes. Because yeah, I couldn't let them go. And it's the running joke with my alpha reader. She says every time you write a book in the series, you create new side characters, and then they need more stories because it's so funny. Because one of the side characters in the next book, I'm like, what we need is a story for him. Like it just keeps like spawning. It's like a hydra, like just like so many heads.
I completely understand.
Yeah.
Yes, says the woman with how many works in progress now? We're up to 40?
49.
Oh, Jesus.
I
I
keep
love it.
getting new ideas. Don't judge
Listen,
me.
You have
listen.
to combine those
We,
ideas.
what's
You know?
that? We don't judge. We listen. We don't judge.
We listen, we don't judge. We don't judge. I've
Uh,
been like really focusing on journaling. And like last night, I was texting my writers group. I was like, this stuff I've been journaling, it could be a story, it could be a book. Like, so like, listen, we,
Yeah.
I get it, Evie. I get it.
All right, everyone. We are once again reminding you of the schmiv, the rehoming, the adoption, whatever you want to call it, of the Funny Girl. You have a chance to get a physical copy. You just need to go ahead and laugh at us for a minute. So go ahead and put some laughing emojis down in the comments, and I will enter you into the wheel we have going on over here.
they're laughing with us, by the way. They're
Laughing.
not
Yeah.
laughing at us.
I mean, you can laugh at me. It's fine. It's it's totally fine.
So, um, obviously, with with your writing, your
Mhm.
job, your family life,
Yeah.
everything, you throw everything into the mix. How do you handle the balance?
Some days it's better than others. Um, I have a really wonderful husband who does not judge when I wake up at like 3 in the morning to go downstairs and write. Because that's kind of a strange thing to do. We can all admit it. Um, I do the type A in me. It's the thing that's been the hardest because I've always been a write like I've always been like writing like you doodle, you write journal. That part I think for a lot of us, I we're good about working that in. The marketing thing is always going to be difficult. It's always going to be the thing that I was not wholly prepared for being an indie author. Even though I knew it was like something I would have to do, I don't know if I was quite, I don't know if I'll ever be quite prepared for it. So I do try to, I batch make my content. I schedule that out. I say, okay, Friday from like 1 to 3, I'm gonna make all my Instagram posts. I'm gonna film up. I'm gonna do my makeup and do my hair. I'm gonna film some TikToks.
Mhm.
So I try to that stuff that I don't maybe find as much joy in as the writing process. I try to make sure I schedule time for that because if I don't, things like that, they just won't get done. Um,
You do wardrobe changes, or are you just wearing like the same thing?
it depends on how like if I'm feeling real squirrely and real good, like I'll grab like 3 or 4 shirts and I will all throw in a different like silly Star Wars hoodie for like 2 different videos and a different Star Wars hoodie for another 2 videos. Um,
That's dedication. When I was doing my I used to I called it marketing Mondays. And like all I was doing that day was making videos, making graphics, all of that, and then I would just use it all week. So I'd be wearing just the same thing in a week's worth of videos. I did
listen,
not care.
again, you can tell how I'm feeling. If I'm wearing the same video, like the same shirt in like 6 different videos, you're like, oh, she was feeling pretty lazy that day. That's fine. That's cool. Um, it just kind of depends. Yeah, so I try to like that's how like I really try to be mindful of like those types of things because like and I always joke like if social I tried TikTok shop for a while and that was not fun because I always joke like if social media isn't fun for me I am not gonna do it. I'm just not gonna do it. Like it has to be at least a tiny bit fun because I am at heart a child and things need to be fun.
Yes.
Right.
I just need to I need to have a good time. But yeah, so those types of things, that's kind of how I try to at least find a little bit of balance. It's up leading up to a book release is always hard because the months leading up to the Funny Girls release, I felt like I was so hyper focused that there was no balance. It was really just me focusing on pushing this book and marketing this book and talking about this book for so long that I kind of lost all sense of balance. I'm looking forward to the start of the year and kind of regaining the
Yes.
balance of like writing, marketing, and then everything else going on in my life. That's one of the things I'm looking forward to. That comes with the new year because leading up to we've all been there. Leading up to a book release, you kind of like zero in and blinders go on, and that's
Yep.
like
And
balance is
then
balance is not a
you
thing.
you burn yourself out.
Yeah, I've been there too. It's like even
Yeah.
with Silver Lights, my holiday story. It's like it's 2 days before my release, and I'm like, I don't feel it this time. It's like I don't have the holiday spirit. I wrote a holiday story, and it's just like, meh.
That's
Yeah.
how I felt with Abyssal. I pushed so hard that I was 2 weeks before release, and I'm like, I know I need to keep going, but I'm done. Like
Yeah.
and then as soon as it released, you had maybe like 2 more days of me like, hey, read my book, and then I vanished for months.
It's really hard and like it does feel a little like burnout. I haven't written at all in the month of December except for journaling, which I'm just kind of like accepting as a
Yep.
good thing because like I do feel burnt out. It is weird because like I love this book. Like I I love like this book. I love this book. It was my first, my baby. I I really love this book. This is a very personal book for me, and I really put everything I had into it, but it was at the detriment of my mental health. And now I'm just like, oh, I want to talk about books.
I
Uh,
understand.
I don't want to talk about books. Like, I don't even want to read real books. I'm just gonna read comic books. Just give me my graphic novels and leave me alone.
Yeah. Yeah, there are days where I'm like literally watching like old wrestling from 1989 instead of writing.
Listen, I rewatched all of Has Been Hotel for some reason, and then I like burned
Yes.
through Hell of a Boss like all 2 seasons, and like now that's just the inside of my brain is just completely coated in Hell of a Boss. Just that's my whole entire FYP page. Like that's just what December has been for me. But I'm
Yeah.
just rolling with it because
Yeah,
yeah,
I've been binging true crime. Like I
nice.
don't even care what it's about. Like just tell me someone unalives and there's an investigation and I am watching it.
You're in. You're in. I
Yeah.
like it. I like it.
So, what is your favorite part about the writing process? Whether it's the writing itself or, you know, I don't think it would be marketing, but from time of conception until release, what is your favorite part and what is your least favorite?
So my favorite part, well, I'll do least favorite part. So least favorite is marketing. I think that's an easy one. I think that's a gimme for all of us. I there are days where I like marketing when I can be really unhinged and silly. Then I really
Yes.
like if I can be the more unhinged I can be, the more I love marketing. Um, I think my least favorite part is like towards the end when you're doing like those final read throughs and you're supposed to be like looking for like little grammar mistakes, but your brain is mush. That's my
Ah.
least favorite part where I'm just like, I can't read this book again. I can't read it again.
Hmm.
Dude, as
Um,
soon as I hit publish, I'm like, I'm never reading this again.
no, if there's a grammar mistake in that published manuscript, it's fine, whatever. It's part of the, it's
Yep.
just for the world now. It's fine. My, but my favorite is taking a first draft to a second draft. That's my favorite. I
Hmm.
am an underwriter on my first draft. I think it comes from spending so long when I was getting my undergrad and then my master's degree writing technical papers. So you have to be generally an underwriter when you're writing a research paper. You don't get very verbose with those. It's very clean, cut, dry, technical speak. Um, so I'm an underwriter on my first drafts. Um, and when I go through on my second draft, that's when I really like dig in and like I add the details and I let myself get a little bit, purple prosy, just a little bit. I love doing that's where my characters kind of find their personality and the story kind of becomes what it's going to be. That's my favorite part is that first draft to second draft. I love it so much. Yeah.
So
No, I
when you're doing this right now, would you say you're more of a plotter or a pantser or a plantser?
So there is a term, Melody Stout actually coined it. It is called quilting.
yes.
So I do an outline. I would not say it is the most beautiful outline you've ever read. It is an outline that gets you from point A to point B.
Mhm.
Um, but I notoriously write out of order. I call it mood writing. If I don't feel like writing this scene today, Dietrich's having a heart attack in the comments.
He's
No, I feel that
cooking.
I can't jump around. I have to write linearly or it doesn't work.
Sometimes if I feel like writing the dramatic fight scene that's towards the climax of the book, I'm gonna write it. And then I'll just go back and I'll just stitch it in when I get to it. It sounds insane when you
Yeah.
say it out loud, but it works.
I wrote Eddie the Legend out of order, but for some reason, ever since then, I can't write. I can only write linearly, like Evie.
I wrote,
There's no right way or wrong way
yeah,
to write a book. So
I just, it's just, it's so funny because just sometimes scenes just come to me. Like I said, and it's usually like a lot of times after a run, like scenes just will come to me and I will have to put them down on paper and they are not always the next scene coming in the book. So yeah, I do. I have to kind of stitch it all together. So, and again, that's where that like taking a first draft to a second draft is you have to go in and clean that up because sometimes when you stitch things in, it's not always pretty.
Mm.
I'm loving his commentary here. So when I sit down to write, I cannot listen to music or anything, but I will put on some TV, one of my comfort shows, and turn the volume down just so I have a little background noise. I get my caffeine, and then I doom scroll for 4 hours. What are your writing routines?
The doom scrolling for 4 hours is too real. That's rude. So rude. Um,
Sorry, not sorry.
yeah. So, I need I need water. I need my as the SNL girlies will say, I need my big dumb cup. So I have a Stanley. So I need a big dumb cup of water. I usually need like a hot beverage of some kind, so coffee, tea, one of those things. Um, and I need a laptop. I need my laptop, but I also need a notebook. Um,
Okay.
Sometimes if something isn't coming to me on the keyboard, I do start writing by hand. Most of my like I journal by hand. Most of my ideas start on paper with a pen. Um, so I do like to have the option to kind of switch over if I need to. Um, and then I like on Scrivener. The reason I like Scrivener because some people like you're either a Scrivener lover or a hater. I love Scrivener because it has this mode where you can turn it on so it takes up the whole entire screen. I can't remember what the mode is called. I think it's either typewriter mode or something. Um, but you can't get to your other tabs.
I don't know because I have Atticus. I haven't used Scrivener.
Yeah, I do love Scrivener because it does. It keeps me from getting to other things. So
Yes.
I just
so
work on Word.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, obviously nowadays, a lot of people opt to self-publish. You know,
mhm.
when I was, when I was first starting out, there was a bit of a stigma, where you have to be trad published, or you're not taken seriously. When you first started writing, what was trad an option for you, or was it just something?
I considered it. Um, I queried. I actually queried both books. Just honestly, just to see, just if there was any nibbles. But I was pretty set on self-publishing from the very beginning, mostly because I'm impatient. And I just wanted to share these things with the world. Um, I actually did have a a full request for the Funny Girl, but they wanted me to change the ending. They're very
Oh,
adamant about that. They read it and they said, "This is great. Change the ending." And I said, "No, thank you," um, because the ending is very important to me. It was one of the first things I wrote for the book. I was not going to change the ending. So, and I think not to sound egotistical, but once you read the ending, I think it makes a lot of sense why I wasn't going to change it. It's not a very, it's not the most traditional of happily ever afters. Um, so it was very important for me the ending stayed. So I did actually say no thank you to that agent because I was just like, no. And that's kind of when I was like, you know what? I was right, like I was with Poorly Wired Circuit.
mhm.
Self-publishing is the way to go with this book because it's again, it's a very personal story. It's very important to me and I wanted it to exist exactly the way I pictured it. And yeah, so that's I was pretty set on that. I don't know if I'll always be set on that. Sometimes I think I'm tired, and it would be nice to have the help of certain things, but the future's wide open.
Yeah, I find that a lot of people say that they prefer having the creative freedom. That
Yes,
this is the book the way they intended it, and they don't want to change it.
yeah.
They
So,
believe
and
what they've written.
you know, for people, like, both sides, sometimes there's this us versus them mentality. I don't think that it needs to be that way because both sides of publishing are so very difficult. To be in the trenches. Some people are in the trenches for years and years, and they're just trying to hang on to these stories that they so believe in, and they just want other people to believe in them too. I admire that so much. Um, and on the flip side, I admire all of us who choose to self-publish because it's you have to do you're everybody. You're the accountant and the PR team and the writer and you're all you have all the hats. Um, so I don't think one is any better than the other. I think both options are valid. I think one of the nice parts about trad publishing is that you do have help. Um, and I think like I'm tired. I don't know about anybody else, but sometimes I'm just so
Yeah,
tired.
it's nice to
It
have help.
would, it would be nice for someone to cut me a fat check and then be like, "Hey, we got the marketing. We just need you to show up and sign some
Yeah.
books." Like that
And
That's
sounds
me.
I think what's hard is that like it's not even so much about marketing. I think because a lot of trad publishers now, you'll hear from trad published authors, they do a bulk of their own marketing. I have friends who are trad published and they do a bulk of their own marketing. It's really just to have somebody there to take care of the edits, to to help with the cover, to know how to pick a cover with they've already done the market research. You don't have to give you the comps, to do all of those little tiny things that I think some people don't really even realize are part of self-publishing until you have to do it. And you have to sit down and be like, okay, what am I going to compare this book to? And how am I going to market it? And what's the cover going to look like? And what's the spine going to look like? And the spine has to look good. And the back is, um, those kinds of things are where trad publishers come in and they're really a big help. Which again, like sometimes it just sounds nice to just have a little bit of help.
Yes.
Um, So, like I said, but I think both are equally difficult, equally fulfilling, just in different ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
so we earlier you talked about your side characters having main character energy
Mhm.
and you're planning on they get their own books and
Yeah.
everything. So how many works in progress do you actually have right now?
Oh, I'm gonna count my head. I would say there's eight. Not all part of the Funny Girl books, but there's eight Scrivener documents currently.
That's not bad. Like I
Hmm.
said, I got 49. So in various stages of drafting. So
It's just yeah, some are just like
not just an idea, like I started the book.
yeah, some of them are just loose outlines. Others are just like two or three paragraphs that I've scribbled down.
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of short stories, so I have a couple of short stories that are like halfway done. I just love short stories. I love
I
that, like,
love writing them too.
yeah, the 10 to 12,000 word mark. I really love telling a story in that amount of word space. I am part of an anthology that I think is coming out early 2025. The word count on that, we could only go to 3,000 words. That was fun
Whoa,
to tell a
3,000
story
words?
in
That's it?
3,000 words. It was so hard.
Yeah, by
It
the time
was
you get the intro done, it's time to do the
it
outro.
it
Yeah.
was like an exercise in not letting myself be like overly like 'cause sometimes I'll get like overly
Hmm.
prosy. Like it was such an exercise in restraint.
That sounds like one of those cutscenes in Family Guy, you know? That's the time I met Gary Coleman at the Mexican restaurant.
I like when they do that though, when they're just like, I remember this one time this happened, and they're just like, hi,
Yeah.
and it's done.
No one does it better than Family Guy. Like they coined it. They're perfect. I mean,
Yes.
they did a couple in the. Did you guys watch the Christmas special? This is such a segue. We watched the Christmas special, me and my husband the other night, and they did a couple of those where they cut away. They were great. Like
Oh.
I haven't laughed at Family Guy like that in years.
You know, honestly, I haven't seen a lot of the newer episodes. I mostly have watched like the first several seasons, you know.
We haven't either, but we saw the Christmas special pop up on our Disney Plus account. And we were looking for something to watch after we put the my daughter to bed. And I was like, why not? And it was actually really pretty good. I was actually
Mm,
fairly impressed.
yeah. I mean, I've seen Road to the North Pole. I think that was the last one I actually saw, but that
Nice.
was several years ago now.
If you haven't checked out the new special,
The
I
fact
recommend
that
it. It
y'all
was
remember the title of the episodes, I'm like, you remember that one time this one thing happened?
Yeah.
listen, Evie, if I could imagine the brain power, if we could eliminate certain things from our brains, like names
I
of like Family Guy episodes.
Yeah. So, you have your eight works in progress that you have, rattling around in your brain. With everything else you have, what happens when the characters stop talking to you? When that writer's block happens.
I always, for me, it's always about listening in that moment. So, and I feel like I'm going through it right now because no one's talking, everyone's very quiet, and I take it as a sign that I need to be quiet too. I don't like to force it. I know some people say, well, there's an art to writing every day, and it's good to practice those muscles, and I do agree to some point. Um, but if characters aren't talking, I'm not going to force them to talk to me. I'm not going to, they're clearly setting a boundary, and I'm going to respect that boundary. Um, but I do. I take it as a sign that I need the break, just as much as they do. Um, so I just don't work on anything. Um, I feel like I don't. My writing is not as good when I force it. Like when I force it and then I go back and I read it, I'm like, this is bad.
Yeah.
It's stuff I usually end up cutting. Um, so that's usually what I do. And it's hard. I think all of us have felt like in those moments we're like, I'm never gonna write again. This is it. I'm done. I'm out of like I have had those moments where like the writer's block is so bad that you're like convinced that you are out of ideas and you're done and this is the end of your career and you had a good run and that's it. Um,
I just have to tell everybody what S.A. Bird said down there in the comments, just for the sake of people watching this on YouTube later. It's like getting the big O. It's just got to come on its own. No forcing it.
I love you so much.
That's what I just said.
She's the best. She really is.
I
I
love
love you
Esther.
so much. I love you, SA. I love you so much. But no, that's you can't force it. I'm a firm believer of that. You can't force it, and the words will come again. It's just a matter of time. So as somebody who's currently, I think, in about a writer's block, they'll come again. I just have to be patient and let it run its course. So, which is hard to do, because again, sometimes we reach those really low moments where you're just like, it's never going to happen again. But I, it will, even if it takes a little bit longer than you'd like it to. So,
So, have you ever either intentionally or intentionally, words are hard, realized that you have inserted pieces of yourself or someone you know in your characters?
oh yeah. And it's always unintentionally. I never mean to do it. I would say, um, Carly is probably the most like me that any character I've ever written. Like obviously, like I am not a comedian. I'm not a stand-up comedian living in New York City, in a crappy one-bedroom studio apartment. That's not me. Um, but the she's a chaos gremlin. Let's be really honest. If I had to describe her, she is a chaos gremlin. She has main character energy through and through. So like she is a side character in the next book, but girl, she does not like it. But it's little things like her favorite Pop Tart and the way she likes to dress. I've definitely like very unintentionally, but then like I got like to the third draft and I was like, oh crap, she dresses like me. She likes to eat like me. Oh no, is this me? Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's never intentional, but I think we all do it on some level. Um, as writers, we write what we know.
Oh
Um,
yes,
I,
definitely.
I I think it's one of the ways that we cope. It's one of the ways we express ourselves. So I think it's inevitable. I don't think there's anything too wrong with it. Of that little bit of insertion, those little pieces of ourselves we give our characters. So.
Nothing bad with a little insertion.
Ah,
I had to
that's what
do
she
it. It was
said.
that was a layup. I had to.
I just
So I know you talked earlier about really reading your graphic novels and stuff, and just taking this time to not stress so much about marketing and stuff. But what else do you do for your mental health and to recharge that creativity?
um definitely, I think recharging my creativity is definitely about consuming different types of um media, different types of like, so I find inspiration not just from reading. I think reading is very important as a writer. I love reading. It's one of my true loves. I mentioned Hell of a Boss. It's clearly like overtaken my whole entire life. I've made it my whole entire personality. Um, but I find a lot of inspiration and joy from finding these stories that are so quirky and weird. Um, and they honestly recharge me. So it's strange to be talking about this weird little YouTube cartoon, um, but like it's just such a wonderful story, and there's so much that I'm probably like really reading in depth to it. I don't know if it's what the creator intended for it, but I went on like a 20-minute rant to my husband about how this little cartoon is like talking about classism and racism, and it's also a love story, and it's also talking about a relationship between a father and a daughter, and my husband's like, uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. He's like, you were really inspired by this. I was like, yeah, and like I find a lot of inspirational moments kind of catch us when we don't expect it. I was expecting to watch this little webtoon and like have a laugh and move on with my life. And I think that's one of the things I love about storytelling is like inspiration finds you in these really strange ways and strange places. And it's so like I like TV and movies are something I really love, and I find a lot of inspiration for them. So that's honestly one of the ways I practice self care is by like letting myself enjoy these things and letting myself, I don't know, like let the brain rot happen because, you
Yeah.
know, I think that's important to let ourselves be passionate about things. So I try not to shy too far away from like some people would call it cringe when somebody falls in love with a piece of media and kind of like absorbs it into their personality. I don't think there's anything wrong with that because it's just another form of self care and of letting ourselves feel joy. So
Yes. No, I totally agree with you. Yeah,
yeah,
that's kind of where I'm at the moment. It's like you know, I need to find joy in other things at the moment before I can, get that spark to write, to get back to
it's
writing.
exactly, and I think that's right. Like you said, Evie, you're watching a lot of true crime. I don't know. I feel like we just kind of all those find those things that one we can take comfort in, but also can inspire us. I think it's really really great. I'm the same with music. I'll really kind of hyperfixate on songs and listen to them like I'll just play the same song over like six, seven, eight, 20 times in a row. Um, it doesn't sound like self care, but self care comes in all shapes and sizes.
Yes.
Um, and I'm also like a big fan of self care that doesn't like cost a lot of money. And so like if laying on the floor and playing the same side of a vinyl over and over and over and over is self care, then it's self care because I said it.
Whatever gets you through the night, it's all right.
Exactly. Exactly.
um,
I also am a huge fan of conspiracy theories,
oh yes.
which and really it doesn't matter whether it's like, huh, I could see that, or if I'm like, wow, this person's crazy. The fact that they can make these connections,
Hmm.
whether it really makes sense or not, if it's a stretch or not, but like I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about it, and I'm just like, okay, I can do that too. Let what connections can I make? And kind of go from there, because some of the conspiracy theories are like, they're out there, but you're like, that's creative as fuck.
Yeah. I equate it to like um like sometimes I'll watch like Taylor Swift like TikToks like of like the girls who like connect like all the 13s and the numbers and the dates, and I'm like, you know, I'm not like one of those Swifties. I'm just here for the music and the vibes, but like I see your point. And
He's a
l
Swifty.
listen, listen, they do the math. Yes, like I get it. So like I'm not an Easter egg hunter for Taylor Swift, but like I
Right.
respect those who find joy in it and do it. Good for just that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they have me convinced where I'm like marking a date on my calendar. I'm like, maybe.
Yep.
So you talked a little bit about inspiration and things that areas that you find inspiration. What are who are some of the authors who have inspired you?
Um, this is a tricky question because I one of my favorite books is Good Omens.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. I understand. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
You're picking it up.
Yeah.
So like it's hard to talk about, which is frustrating in so many ways. But
Yeah.
um, I mentioned Little Women. I really love, and it's one of the classics. And I'm not somebody who sits there and points a finger and says you have to read classics to be well read because I don't agree with that sentiment at all. Um, but I love Little Women and I love Louise May Alcott's story because I just find it so interesting that she did actively choose to change the end of her book to get it published. She actively chose to do that. Um, and I find that a very interesting story. I think about it a lot that like and in that time period it made sense why she did. So I find a lot of inspiration of wanting something so bad that you're kind of willing to sacrifice something you believe in, just to see a dream come true. So I find that very interesting and inspiring to think about. I think about it often. Um, and I honestly I find a lot of inspiration from indie authors, but just indie authors in general. I'm so inspired by them because they work so hard. Um, we see it every day on Book Talk, but I've seen it up close with a few authors that I'm very lucky to have gotten to speak with um, through TikTok. TikTok has brought us together, but just seeing them go for it. A few of them. Dietrich's in the chat right now. Brilliant. He's brilliant. Extraction was one of my favorite books of 2024. I can't say enough about how good it is, and how hard he worked on it because I got to watch it up close. I got to see the struggle, and it's so inspiring to see writers work so hard for something that they so believe in. Um, a couple other ones behind. I keep Riffbringer, Adrian Rennick, who wrote Riffbringer. If you haven't read Riffbringer, I keep it next to my bed because it was another one I read in 2024. It is so good, and it was something that Adrian put her whole heart into. Again, I watched up close and I was so inspired by it. Just somebody who just wanted to tell this story for so long, and now I'm watching her do it. It's just I get like we get a front row seat to these things. I'm just like honestly like baffled that we get to do this. We get to watch up close as people tell these stories that mean so much to them, and it's like really like mushy and like melodramatic, but it's very very inspiring to me to see. We get to see it up close. We get to see the magic. It's like getting to peek behind the curtain. I don't know. It's really just really cool to me.
Yeah, so many of these indie authors have inspired me to keep going. One of them over there.
Right? Like it's because it's not only that we get to be inspired by each other, we get to meet each other and be friends
Yeah.
and hold each other up. I don't think the Funny Girl would have happened without Book Talk. I really genuinely don't. Without the people that it brought to me, people like Dietrich and Adrian. Like I don't think it would have happened because we can hold each other's hands and keep each other going through these moments. And I just find it very like both inspiring and also like just heartwarming and just a good. It's such a good thing.
So, do you have any advice for unpublished authors or people hoping to become authors?
Keep writing. Don't stop writing. That's number one advice. I think that's and what anybody would say is keep writing. Um, as far as if you want to be published, do your research. Do a ton of research. Do more research than I did. Do all the research, um, and don't be afraid to reach out. No one, I think, especially in the indie author community, is a gatekeeper. If anybody pops in my DMs and has questions, I will answer you in a heartbeat. And if I don't have an answer, I guarantee you I can find somebody who does. So don't be afraid to reach out. Nobody in this community is here to gatekeep. I think we all want to see each other succeed in our dreams. So just yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions. I wish I had asked more questions. That's one of the things I was afraid to ask questions, and I think I maybe would have made a few different decisions if I hadn't been so scared to ask those questions. So yeah, and don't be afraid to pivot. Don't be afraid to kind of change what your goals and what your dreams look like, because that's okay too. So I know that with Poorly Wired Circuit, one of my dreams was a bookstore. I wanted it in a bookstore. I don't know if that's necessarily like something that like I think I need anymore to feel successful and
Right.
in being published. So don't be afraid of letting those dreams and those goals change too. So
Yeah, I mean, I put being made an Eddie the Legend in a local bookstore here, and they I don't think they sold one copy, but I've sold so many copies online, and through my website.
right, it's so strange that like I think again like it's I don't know if it's because of like we all like have that idea of trad publishing so kind of like sort of like coexisting in our brain, but like a bookstore felt really important. Um, it felt really important for a bookstore, and like now, like I'm sitting here thinking, like I don't know, but I've sold more copies, like I said, online, um, through my website than anything else. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, we're going to get to some fun questions. Not that these haven't been fun, but we're going to get to some super cool fun questions. But before we do, just a reminder that Ms. Page is rehoming a physical copy of The Funny Girl. So if you want to drop that laughing face emoji down there, you could have that very book. And now it's time for Evie's favorite question as we enter
Yes.
the
The
fun
most
portion.
important question of potentially your entire life. Like
okay,
this one is the question. All right.
I'm
Um,
ready.
what's your favorite dinosaur?
It's so important.
It is.
So important. It's so important. Um, you have to forgive me. I'm not good with names of dinosaurs. I was not a dinosaur kid. So you'll have to forgive me. Um, I like the one with the spiky things all down his back.
Stegosaurus.
Yes, thank you, Stegosaurus.
I think your career
I
is safe, Dietrich.
I like I like a Stegosaurus. I love Jurassic Park. Um, except for I have a very specific rant about the one with Vince Vaughn in it that my husband hates.
Just real quick, Tracy is from Canada, and she says she can't find your book on Amazon. So she wanted to know if, just to confirm, if it's available in Canada.
It should be available in Canada, um, Tracy. It should be. I don't know. I would hope that I don't know if uh the
Hmm.
the
You know what? I'm
strikes
going.
are doing anything, but it should be available in Canada.
I'm going on to the Amazon.ca, and I see Poorly Wired Circuit. but I do not see the funny girl.
I will have to look into that because that's weird because it should be.
Yeah,
So I
good,
will look into that.
good
It's
information.
definitely on KU.
Yes, thank you
Um,
for that information, Tracy.
yeah, I will look into that.
We'll get that rectified.
Yes, I will look into that. Um, yes, as Stegosaurus, like I said, I have a very specific rant about the second Jurassic Park, but I do love the Jurassic Park movies. So hopefully, no one ever out there thinks I don't like them because I love them. Just, I have feelings about the second one.
And you're
What?
absolutely allowed to have those feelings.
A lot of feelings. It's like I think it's the if anybody brings up the second Jurassic Park movie, my husband inwardly cringes because he's heard this rant so many times and he's like, please don't get her started. Please, I can't.
My wife said she thought Moana 2 was better than Moana.
I haven't seen it yet, so don't ruin it for me.
No
Okay.
I'm gonna get
spoilers.
to it
Oh no.
eventually.
I honestly, I'll say this. It was a lot better than I thought it would.
Okay. Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
It was my bar was low because I knew it was supposed to be a television show. So I uh I definitely thought it did better than it was gonna be. I will say that the music was not as good.
I agree.
But Moana's music is so good.
Yes.
Like Lin-Manuel Miranda's just worth the paycheck. I mean, I it's just he's worth the money. So
Yes. But we're
yes,
not going to spoil it any further.
we're not gonna spoil it any further. Nope.
So, what is the best gift you have ever received?
That's a good question. I'm torn between being ridiculous and being sentimental.
Oh,
Like I'm torn. Like my instinct is to go for the
Tell us
joke,
both. Tell us both
right?
if you're comfortable with it.
eh,
Um, I mean, best my I'll never forget the my daughter's like second day of kindergarten. She came home and they during craft time she had drawn me a comic book and it was a Spider-Man comic book. And she said, I
Nice.
made this for you. And it was literally like 3 pages like taped together very poorly.
I
Um,
remember those days.
and I still have it. It sits on my desk and I love it so much. It was so cute. She's like, I know you love Spider-Man, mommy, so I made you a Spider-Man comic book. And it was like it was just 3 papers like hastily like taped together, like clearly drawn by a kindergartner. And I it was just so sweet that she's like she just started kindergarten and she was really scared about it. She thought of me. So it was just like a random Tuesday and I was like, this is like the best gift ever. Um but like honestly, like I'm so bad at getting gifts. I'm so bad at it. Like December's really rough because it's my birthday and then it's Christmas. I'm so bad
ah,
I'm
one of
so
those.
bad at getting gifts. I get so uncomfortable. Um, uh, but I always love a gift where especially like my husband, because my parents didn't always appreciate the fact that I was a weirdo.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, my parents didn't always appreciate it. So anytime my husband gets something that like encourages the weirdness, it always makes me happy. Like it always like it could be like a stupid sticker. He got me a Has Been Hotel t-shirt for Christmas. That was my Christmas present from him. And it just like it was so sweet because he remembered that this stupid cartoon was something I fixated on for like 6 months of 2024. And he's like, you need this t-shirt. So like um anytime he does something like that, it just makes me feel really like he gets me. Like he gets
Yeah.
it. Like he may not always like understand and want to take part in the weirdness, but he gets that sometimes I'm a little weird and he encourages it. And so like that's anytime he does something like that, I'm like, okay, yes, this works.
Sweet. If you could go back in time, what year would you travel to?
I want to go back to the 70s. I was just talking about this with my dad. I want to go back to the 1970s. Um, Yeah, the music, the clothes, the furniture.
Mm,
I want to go back to the 70s. It just looked like so much fun.
mm. You know, if I were a little bit older, I would just want to go to Studio 54 one time.
Just once, just once.
Yeah.
I want to wear bell bottoms and I
Mm.
want to like a disco ball and
Yeah.
like listen to ABBA. Like I just like that's I just want to be in I just want to be in the 70s. Yeah, I think I would go back to
Mm.
the 70s. My dad got a record player for Christmas from my mom,
Nice.
and he was like trying to decide how he wanted to set it up, and so we went down a rabbit hole of like the 1970s radio tables that used to exist where like the speakers were built in and the record
Yes.
player was built into the tables.
Oh, yes. It's like the size of a desk.
Yes, they're humongous. And like we were, and my dad's a carpenter, like on the side, that's his hobby. Like we all have our passions. My dad's hobby is woodworking. And so like we went down a rabbit hole of like finding them on like Etsy and eBay. And like he was like, he's like, he's like, I could buy one of these and like refurbish them one for myself. And I was like, well, if you do that, then you can do one for me too. Yes. Like, so we were like geeking out over 1970s furniture. And he was so funny. He's like, I had one of these when I was a teenager. And I'm like, of course you did. And now it's gone. Where is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandfather was an old DJ, and he had one of those gigundo contraptions. Yeah, I remember
It's
playing
so
it
cool.
when I was like 5 years old. Playing like all the old Glenn Campbell records or what.
God, you should have seen my dad went up to the attic after he unwrapped the present from my mom. And he brought down this box and he had all these like old like Johnny Cash and Hank Williams, all these
Yeah,
like little 50 45s. Um,
yeah.
scratched to hell. Like there's no like we were laughing because I was like, there's no way these play. And he's like, oh no, they're garbage. They won't play. But it was so funny that he still had them to this day. Um, so like yeah, the 1970s.
Mm.
I just think it would be fun.
What is your favorite ice cream flavor?
This is where I'm really boring. I really love a good vanilla.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. It's about time someone agrees with me. Thank you.
Evie, Evie, we just became best friends.
Yes.
I do.
I do like vanilla. Yes, I have to
A
say.
really good vanilla with the beans.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't beat it. You're so good. Yes, a really
I,
good
I
vanilla.
yeah, I need a little cookie dough in with that vanilla, but otherwise
Oh,
I'm cool with it.
But that's
it's
the
not
great
a
thing about vanilla. It is the perfect base. You can add anything to it to enhance the vanilla.
exactly. Listen, my favorite snack when I was pregnant was vanilla ice cream covered in rainbow jimmies. So good. Oh, so good. So good. I wish I had some right now, honestly. It's 30 degrees outside and I still wish
Mm.
I had some right now.
I want to go to Dairy Queen right now.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
dude, a dilly bar sounds so good right
That would
now.
be so awesome. Oh my God.
Thanks, Brian.
Dietrich's favorite music is the whole music from AT&T.
I feel like you're making fun of us, but I don't care. Vanilla ice cream totally
Is that
slaps.
I just for some reason now I have that whole song in my head that
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes that just hits right. So we all know most authors are also readers as well, and as readers we are fully aware that buying books and reading books are two completely separate hobbies. So besides collecting books, what else do you like? What other collection do you have?
It will surprise no one when I say that I collect toys. Specifically, I'm a big fan of Legos.
Ah,
I love Legos. I find them very soothing. Just give me, maybe it's like, again, the type A thing in me, or just like sometimes I just want to be told what to do. So just give me a giant book and 6 bags of Legos, and I will put together that X-Wing for you.
ooh,
That's my dream one is there's this new, it's not the toy, not the one that's like a toy for kids, but they do like this collector series Legos for
right,
Star Wars.
like the one that you have to put the in the plastic case.
Yes, there's an X-Wing, and I watched a video the other day of someone putting it together, but they put it together with super glue and then they hung it in their from their ceiling with
Oh,
fishing line, and I was like, I want to do that so bad. Um, but yeah,
God.
Legos. Also, I do collect Barbies. This, that's the girly pop side of me. I collect Barbies. So I do have, just so everybody knows, I have Elphaba and Glinda with the naughty website on the bottom still. Collector's items. If you don't know that lore from Wicked, I'm happy to explain. Um, but I collect Barbies. So my prized possession is the original winter dress Belle from the original 1995 release of Beauty and the Beast. Yes,
Nice.
the pink dress. It came with the little book. It came with Mrs. Potts and Chip. Yes, I have that. That is my prized possession.
I love that.
Um, what inanimate object would be the most annoying if it played loud, upbeat music while being used?
I feel like that would be the coffee pot.
Right? No, you're not going to be all positive this early in the morning. Thank
Could
you.
you imagine? It's like you're trying to like make coffee because you have to go start your day and join the capitalism rat race, and your coffee pot's singing to you.
The AT&T hold music.
Just for some reason now, I'm thinking we're talking about 70s music. I can just imagine the coffee pot singing, Jeremiah was a bullfrog, was a good friend of mine.
God, I'd smash it with a hammer.
Diedrich's answer, yeah, that
Oh,
one
God.
might be
Okay, but is that really an everyday item?
Isn't there a
no,
song
it just
called
said
In the Butt?
it was just an inanimate object. It didn't say an everyday object.
That's fair. That's touche. Touche. Yes, the catheter would be the worst. That would be bad.
So, what would you use to potentially survive a zombie apocalypse?
I would not survive a zombie.
Uh, Look, you and me both. We're honest. We're honest. It's not gonna happen.
Listen, you know that like the girl at the beginning of the movie who doesn't make it like right away.
The one
Yes.
who gets killed even before the opening credits?
Yes.
I'm Drew Barrymore. Okay, that's
Yeah.
me.
Mm-hmm.
I,
Like, I just wouldn't. I don't know. Uh, I don't. I honestly, I don't know. Like, I'm always in my kitchen because I like to cook. So I feel like my instinct would be to like pull a Rapunzel and grab like my cast iron skillet and just take that with me and just start swinging. But I don't have high hopes for myself. I just don't.
yeah, I
I've
would.
already decided I'm that the one that they're gonna sacrifice, so I get surrounded by zombies. Everyone else can get away.
I
Yeah,
would.
I'll just be the martyr. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would turn on the human race so fast. I'd be like, I pledge allegiance to the female zombies.
Yeah. All right, guys. So everyone who has stuck around, or even people just joining us, we are doing a schmiv of the Funny Girl. It'll be a physical copy. If you would like a chance to adopt this wonderful book, drop the laughing emoji down in the comments, and we will add you to our wheel of names. This will be our last call for the schmiv, since we are going to be announcing the winner here in just a few minutes.
Yes. So yeah, just a couple of things before we wrap it up. Can you please remind us where else we can find you online besides this lovely app?
So the place I'm probably the most active other than here would be Instagram. I have a lot of fun on Instagram. There's a lot of the same shenanigans we get here with the jokes, but also a lot of fun static posts. So that is a great place to follow me. Also, if you go to my website, you can subscribe to my newsletter. I promise I don't send out a ton of them. It's just once a month. I try not to overwhelm people's inboxes because nothing is more annoying. But that is usually where I am teasing things first. If there's covers or character art, I always make sure I set it to my newsletter friends first. So that's a good place to go as well. So
Ooh.
Do you have any events coming up? Any signing events, either group or solo?
No, not right now currently. That is a goal for 2025 is I'd love to do some events. So that's the 2025 goal. It's just a matter of kind of like knuckling down and making it happen. So
Yeah. Well,
That's
if you do, I want to know where you're going to be because I have to meet you in person.
I
yes.
have to meet you in person.
Yes. Well, I mean, I'm going to be in a few places on the East Coast in 2025. I think the closest I'll be, well, either Booked in Chaos in South Carolina or Sinful in Roanoke.
I'll say Booked in Chaos in South Carolina. That is not far from me. Cassie Corbin, she's another good friend of mine, an author here on TikTok. She's in South Carolina. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, so, anything else you'd like us to know? Anything you want to plug? This is.
Um, just I always say this at the end of every interview. Don't be afraid if you are not reading indie books or self-published books. Do not be scared of them. Please read them. Um, there are so many wonderful stories out there. Do not limit yourself to trad published. Trad published books are great. I love trad published books, but do not limit yourself. Do not be afraid of indie books. Some of the best stories I've ever read are self-published indie books. So please don't be afraid of them. So that's always my final plug.
There
She
you go.
has two, Marianne.
Yes. Hi, Marianne. Yes, I have two. I have Poorly Wired Circuit. It's a superhero romance, and then The Funny Girl, which is an angsty comedy, angsty rom com.
All right,
It's about
then
that time.
let me flip. Give me a second
Yeah.
because
And
now I'm
Marianne is also from Canada, and I think it was Dietrich who pointed out that if you click on if you click on the page for Poorly Wired Circuit and you click on Kate Page's name, you will also find the funny girl from there.
Amazon's gonna make everything so
It's,
complicated.
it's I don't know, for some reason it's weird in Canada.
Uh, yeah. I'm
all
I'm
right.
gonna continue to blame Jeff Bezos. So
That's fair. That's
yeah,
fair. All right, so here we go with our wheel of names.
I swear it looks like a vinyl record.
it
It
does.
does.
How
Marianne,
about that?
Marianne.
congratulations.
Yes, Marion,
Wait
I
to
believe is in
go.
Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
Yes, you, Marianne.
Yes. So anyway, we've had a wonderful evening with Kate Page, and we want to
This
thank her
is
for being on. It's been a lot of laughs and a lot of insightful and a lot of insight, a lot just a wonderful time. Thank you so
I
much.
had such a good time. Thank you guys so much for talking with me.
Of
This was
course.
fun.
Yeah, I'm glad we can get you on. I've been wanting to have you on here for a while now, and I'm glad the day has finally come.
Oh, you're gonna make me weepy.
Oh, don't do
So,
that.
um, yeah,
Next week on Friday Night Writes, we have Clarence Carter. He will be the first author that we have returning to our show, which is cool. That people want to come back on, like
I'm away.
I don't blame.
right.
No, you guys are so much fun. This was so much fun. I don't blame
Thank you.
people for one. I want to come back.
We can make that happen.
Yes, the next time you have when your third book comes out, let's see. I think we're booking into the end of 2025. So
Wow, that's
yeah.
Yeah, we're.
awesome.
I think we're starting to book into 2026 now.
Whoa.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yes. And I believe, if correct me if I'm wrong, but I think next week we can still do the thing on the TikTok. We were originally gonna move over to the Instagram, but
Mhm.
there may be a stay of execution, so to speak, as it relates to TikTok in the
I
United
think
States.
I believe we have a little bit of a window until the 19th.
Yeah, well, I think today Trump filed a motion with the Supreme Court to put a stay on the ban until it can be like, so they can do like an additional investigation or something like that. So we might not be losing it on the 19th. It really just depends on if the Supreme Court accepts his motion or not. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Marianne, you should have TikTok still. It's just us here in the US that it's
Yeah,
getting
it's really
caught.
just affecting us.
So
Yeah.
you
But
can still watch all the shit posts and everything. Lucky
yeah.
you.
So we'll make a final decision on that sometime early next week. But we will have Clarence Carter on either here or on the IG. So we will keep you posted.
Yep.
And all of our episodes are on the YouTube. Starting tomorrow morning, you can see Cate Page and I and Evie.
Yay.
If you are an author or you are friends with an author and would like to be on the show, we have interest forms in the link trees in our bios. It's also on our websites. So like we're scheduling out like super super far, but if y'all want to be on the show, just let us know.
Yes, and we still have the anthology coming out uh, in July of next year, and the interest form is now available. If you go to any of our pages on right here on the link tree, we have a link to Friday Night Rights, and you can find it from there.
Yep. We are taking submissions close March 31st. So if you as well, Cate, if you have a story to tell, our theme is invisible illnesses, both mental and physical. So you're more than welcome to submit a short story.
That sounds awesome.
Yes, I think that just about does it for this evening. And
Yeah.
Kate, thank you, and thank you
Thank you
everybody.
again. Thank
Yes.
you.
And hope
Had a
everyone has a
fantastic
wonderful
episode.
rest of their holiday week, and
Yes.
we'll see you next week,
We'll see
January
you
3rd.
next year.
Next
I
year.
didn't want to say it because it's like, oh, everybody's,
I
oh, see
know,
you
that's
next
why I
week.
said it like that. All right, y'all have a great night.
Good night.
Hi.
Bye.